Shocking. Spirit revealed a secret at midnight. 6 real Tanner stories you've never heard. The clock struck midnight. An eerie stillness enveloped the old Tanner house, tucked away in the woods like a ghost of the past. The creaking floorboards seemed to whisper secrets long buried. Clara stood in the living room, her heart racing. Shadows danced around her, and the air crackled with tension. Something was coming. She could feel it in her bones. She had heard stories about the Tanner spirit, the lingering soul that refused to rest. A figure wrapped in darkness, flickering in and out of existence. Everyone said he had a secret, something that would shake the very foundation of the town. And then it happened. A flicker of light caught her eye, illuminating the hallway just beyond her view. Clara's pulse quickened. The light moved like it was alive, beckoning her closer. Every inch of her being screamed to run, but curiosity held her in place. What did it want? Was it warning her, or was it something more sinister? In the corners of her mind swirled tales of the Tanner family's tragic past. Whispers about betrayal, lost love, and a hidden treasure. Each neighbor had their own version, as if the spirit were feeding off the town's fear and fascination. Clara clenched her fists, a tightness in her chest threatening to overwhelm her. She had to know the truth. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the room behind her. Clara jumped, the adrenaline surging like electricity through her veins. What was that? She thought as dread settled in. The lights flickered ominously, casting strange shadows that twisted and turned. Part of her wanted to call for help, but her voice seemed trapped in her throat. She felt the cool breeze rush past her, almost whispering her name. Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Clara's mind raced. Did the spirit want her to uncover the truth? She took a quiet step towards the hallway, where shadows swirled. What secrets lay hidden in the dark? As she crept forward, fear and determination coursed through her. The night was alive, and she was drawn deeper into its mysteries. Would she be the one to unravel the Tanner's legacy, or would she become another whisper in the wind? Clara braced herself as she stepped into the hallway, the ethereal glow flickering just ahead. Each step echoed in her ears, a reminder of the unsettling presence that lingered around her. The shadows moved like they had thoughts of their own, curling and stretching against the walls as if reached by unseen hands. Keep moving, she urged herself, pushing aside the panic rising in her throat. The pull toward the illuminated room felt magnetic, drawing her closer with an almost desperate urgency. The air thickened, turning cold and heavy, making her breath visible, swirling around her like a cold fog as she reached the entrance to the room. Clara paused, her heartbeat thumping loudly, drowning out any sounds in the house. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a dusty, dimly lit chamber lined with old portraits that seemed to watch her with accusing eyes. Clara felt a chill race down her spine. The stories always mentioned this room, the place where tragedy unfolded, where the darkness first claimed its victim. Suddenly, the flickering light intensified, flooding the room in an unsettling gold hue. It emitted a warmth that clashed with the cold in the air. Time lost its meaning. Seconds stretched into eternity. The apparition of a man emerged within the brightness, flickering between the worlds of the living and the dead. His hollow eyes locked onto Clara's, igniting a tempest of emotions inside her: fear, empathy, and an unshakable urge to understand. "Why are you here?" she whispered, her voice trembled but resolute. The man's lips parted, yet no sound came. Instead, he pointed towards an old trunk resting in the corner. Its once vibrant color faded into a shadow of what it used to be. Clara's lungs tightened. Was his secret trapped inside? Was this the darkness the town feared? With uncertainty pushing her forward, Clara advanced toward the trunk. As she approached, the air became thicker, weighty as if the very walls wished to keep her from crossing the threshold of the unknown. The spirit's gaze remained locked onto hers, intense and desperate. It felt like he was screaming at her without sound, pleading for her to act. She knelt in front of the trunk, her fingers trembling as they brushed against the cold, grimy surface. It was as if the very wood was alive, breathing with the memories of the past. Clara hesitated. Every horror story she'd heard rushed back, warnings echoing in her mind. Nevertheless, this was it. The key to unraveling the Tanner legacy. Perhaps even breaking the hold the spirit had over the house. With a swift motion, she unclasped the old latches and lifted the heavy lid. A cloud of dust erupted, obscuring her vision. She coughed and blinked, waves of anxiety flooding over her. Inside lay a collection of crumpled papers and ornate jewelry, each piece telling a story woven with whispers, betrayal, and hidden secrets. Amongst it all was a frayed photograph, tattered around the edges. Clara picked it up, the coldness of the glass sending a shiver through her fingertips. She leaned in closer, squinting to see the faces. But a loud thud resonated behind her, breaking the trance. Clara spun around, the photograph slipping from her hands and fluttering to the ground. What had she disturbed? The shadows in the corners of the room shifted, swelling ominously as a chilling laugh echoed through the air. Panic gripped her heart. She was not alone. Clara, a voice hissed, too close and too dark, spreading dread through her veins. You should not have come here. The room closed in around her, and the light flickered wildly, exposing the truths that lay hidden in the dark. Was she ready to face what was coming? Or had she awoken forces beyond her comprehension? The air crackled with tension as Clara peered into the swirling abyss of the unknown. What other secrets did the Tanner house hold? Would the answers free her, or drag her deeper into the shadows? The shadows twisted violently, inching closer as the laugh faded, replaced by a silence so thick Clara could hardly breathe. Her heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a staccato drum. She didn't dare make a sound, her ears straining for any hint of movement. The only thing she could feel was the weight of unseen eyes upon her, scrutinizing, judging. "Show yourself," she blurted out, her voice shaking despite her attempt at bravery. The room felt like a tomb, and she was the unwilling occupant. Her thoughts spiraled, wondering if the stories were true, if this was the very moment they warned her about. Suddenly, the light above blinked, revealing something in the corner, flickering like a faulty bulb. It was the portrait, the one directly across from her. The figure within felt alive, a woman frozen in a moment of despair, her expression twisted with sorrow. Clara's gaze softened. Did she know the spirit haunting the room? As if responding to her silent inquiry, the apparition beside the trunk flickered again, nudging her into action. With a decision weighing heavy on her chest, Clara turned back to the trunk. She needed to understand there were pieces to this puzzle lingering just above the dust and darkness. Her fingers trembled as she rifled through the faded papers, each crackling under her touch. Names leaped at her, familiar yet distant. Tanner, Wilkes. Why did you have to die? She whispered to the spirit, her heart aching as memory washed over her. She felt a sorrow that wasn't her own, a thread of empathy that intertwined with fear. As she scanned the artifacts before her, a sharp gasp shot through the cracking stillness. The photograph. It had slipped down to the bottom. Clara reached for it, her fingers brushing against the surface where time had left its mark. But before she could lift it, another thud echoed, this one louder, closer, from somewhere deep within the house. Dust and silence quivered in the aftermath. Ears pricked, she instinctively braced herself. The temperature plummeted, her breath escaping in bursts. Was someone else here? Panic surged as Clara glanced toward the door. She hesitated. Was retreat the answer? Or was the real horror still locked within? Clara, the whisper curled in her ears again, so close it almost felt intimate. A wave of dread washed over her, rooting her to the spot. You can't leave now. You must help. Help? Help whom? The urgency in the voice tore at her insides. Who or what needed her assistance? And why did it feel like the walls around her were closing in, revealing a terrifying fate that awaited anyone who dared to leave? Clara squeezed her eyes shut, fighting the impulse to flee as overwhelming anxiety threatened to consume her. She mounted the energy deep within her, a flicker of defiance igniting against the encroaching darkness. "I won't be scared away," she promised, though her voice wavered in that moment of fierce determination. She dug into the trunk again, expecting to find a key, a map, something tangible that could navigate this abyss. Her hands brushed against a soft fabric amid the jewelry. She pulled it out, revealing a delicate silk scarf stained with— was that blood? The weight of what she held sank in, tangling with the air thickening around her. In comprehending the depth of its truth, adrenaline coursed through her veins. What had she unearthed? And then, a voice boomed from behind her, shattering the fragile silence with violent authority. "You shouldn't have opened it." Clara froze, the scarf slipping from her fingers as icy terror gripped her. The weight of the jasmine scent filled her lungs, intermingling with dread. Who was it now? And what was left to uncover in this house filled with secrets? Would she have the strength to face whatever dark truth awaited her? Or would her courage crumble beneath the weight of the unknown? The walls seemed to shift as shadows danced more wildly, leaving Clara standing on the precipice of revelation. What lay beyond this point? Clara's heart raced. The voice that reverberated through the room was deep and menacing, echoing the fear that pulsed in her veins. She dared not turn around, each second stretching into an eternity. With the cold scarf dropping to the floor, her sense of reality warped. Was this the spirit of someone she had disturbed? And if so, what did they want from her? A shadow loomed over her, darkening her reflection in the cracked mirror beside the trunk. "Have you no respect for the dead?" The voice hissed again, this time more insistent, vibrating through the walls. Clara's breath hitched, desperation rising like bile. "What do you want?" She managed to reply, her voice barely above a whisper, quivering with uncertainty. "You should have left it all undisturbed," it growled, resonating with a cold bitterness that chilled her skin. "Now you invite grief, a reckoning." The words weighed heavily on her, resonating with the sorrow that had already seeped into her bones. Clara instinctively took a step back, needing to escape the haunting presence. But the shadows around her seemed to pulse, wrapping tighter. The specter's ire seeped through the air, thick and suffocating. She forced herself to breathe, eyes darting around the dim room, seeking an exit or a sign of understanding. The temperature had dropped further, numbing her fingers, while every shadow flickered with life as if pleased by the chaos. "No, I came here to help," Clara protested, her voice tinged with a fragile mixture of hope and fear. "I need to know what happened." With a harsh laugh that sent shivers up her spine, the unseen figure retorted, "Help? You don't even know whose pain you awaken." The rough, gravelly tone was like nails on a chalkboard, igniting a primal fear within her. Then, as if compelled by some unseen force, she turned slowly, and her breath caught in her throat. The figure coalesced from the darkness, an ethereal woman, her face twisted in sorrow, echoed in the portrait that hung on the wall. It looked just like the woman trapped in the paint, a haunting visage of despair and loss. "What are you?" Clara cried, backing away more, but some part of her didn't want to retreat. There was urgency in her heart to understand, to unravel this enigma. The spirit's translucent form flickered. "I was alive once, and I loved deeply, and like you, I thought I could conquer the darkness." Each word sliced through the air, steeped in a sadness that resonated with Clara's own fears and regrets. "But I was betrayed." Clara felt the weight of the woman's pain wrapping around her like a smothering blanket. "Who betrayed you?" The question slipped out, barely a whisper, as if the very act of vocalizing it granted it power. "They wanted the treasure buried deep, and they took my life for it," the spirit lamented, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "You must find the gold before they take you too." Clara's heart sank. This wasn't merely a ghost story but a real haunting, tethered to a profound loss, connected to the lives lost over greed. And if I don't? She breathed, trying to digest the implications. Then you will join me, the spirit replied softly, yet the threat reverberated through Clara's soul. And the darkness will grow ever more powerful. Panic clawed at her chest, but beneath the fear flickered a spark of resolve. She couldn't just walk away now. She was in too deep. Somehow, she had to untangle this web of betrayal and tragedy. Clara locked eyes with the specter. Where do I start? The answer hung in the air, heavy with expectation and urgency. The ghostly figure pointed to the trunk. Inside is everything, she instructed, and with those words, she began to fade. Wait, Clara yelled, fingers grasping at the emptiness left in the wake of the woman's disappearance. What do I need to find? The room fell silent, and the temperature began to rise. Clara tossed her gaze around, the shadows already creeping back into their corners. But the echo of the woman's warning remained. Without thinking twice, Clara dove back towards the trunk before the empty air could swallow her courage whole. She had to solve this mystery quickly, before those who sought the treasure found her first. What dark secrets were buried within? And if she uncovered them, would it lead her to salvation or doom? Clara knelt in front of the trunk, heart hammering as she fumbled with the rusty latch. The specter's warning echoed in her mind. She needed to act fast. With a firm tug, the lid creaked open, releasing a waft of stale air filled with dust, secrets, and perhaps answers. The trunk's interior was cluttered old clothes, books, and yellowed letters. Each item seemed to resonate with a whisper of the past. Clara carefully sifted through the contents, her fingers trembling with anticipation. What should she look for? A clue? A name? The weight of the unknown bore down heavily on her as she dug deeper. A small leather-bound book caught her eye. Its cover was cracked, but the lock was unlatched, as if inviting her to open it. Clara's heart raced. This could be the key that connected her to the spirit. She flipped it open, pages crumpling under her touch, and began to read. The words, penned in a flowing script, unfolded a narrative of love and betrayal. The woman's name was Eliza, and she was once a beloved in the town, a woman woven deeply into the fabric of the community. The stories told of her fiery romance with a man named Thomas, intertwined with shadows of jealousy. Clara's eyes widened as she absorbed the details, each sentence steeped in an emotional turmoil that mirrored the spirit's pain. But then came the dark turn. Whispers of treasure buried beneath the old oak tree, a hidden fortune promised by Thomas. But it was laced with deceit. Just as Clara pieced together fragments of Eliza's life, a shiver rippled through the air, sending her instincts into overdrive. She could feel the spirit's presence again, heavy and resentful. Are you reading my story? The voice returned, sharper now, as if clinging to the pages with desperate fingers. Your story? Clara gasped, eyes darting around. All those who came here wish to possess what's not theirs. Eliza's voice echoed with fury, and they failed to protect me. Clara's pulse quickened. What happened to you, Eliza? Greed blinded them. Thomas led them to my grave. They took my life for riches betrayed by my own love. For a moment, Clara felt a flicker of sympathy and rage intertwine within her. This was no ordinary ghost, but a tormented spirit seeking justice. This treasure, it's cursed, I senti it? Clara whispered, horror clawing at her insides as she pieced together what the spirit was trying to say. You want me to take it from them? Yes, Eliza breathed, voice swirling with urgency. But tread carefully. Those who hunt for it will stop at nothing. They want your life just as they took mine. Panic surged within Clara as the reality loomed large. The shadows lurking just outside the door were searching for the very thing she stumbled upon. The trunk was now a portal, a bridge between her fragile world and the chaos that enveloped Eliza's past. The air vibrated with an electric tension, and Clara closed the book, adrenaline flooding her senses. She could see the outlines of figures approaching, their intentions deadly clear. Clara scrambled to gather the scattered letters, stuffing them into her bag. But as she stood, a low growl echoed down the corridor. Fear intensified in her chest. She couldn't let them find her. Driven by instinct, Clara darted toward the window, considering her options. But could she escape with the weight of Eliza's truth trailing behind her? The shadows whispered ominously as she hesitated, caught between survival and a promise to correct the wrongs of the past. "They are here for you," Eliza's voice screamed in her mind. With her heart racing, Clara wrenched open the window, the latch creaking in protest. This was it, she had to make her choice. Would she confront the darkness or flee into the night, leaving Eliza's fate unresolved? As Clara climbed out onto the ledge, the choice resonated within her soul. Battle or flight? The world outside felt both liberating and dangerous, the unknown stretching before her. Would the sinister presence swallow her whole, or would she uncover the truth, stopping the cycle of betrayal? The danger loomed closer, and Clara knew that. This was only the beginning of her harrowing journey. Clara clung to the window frame, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. Goosebumps danced across her skin, a chilling reminder of the presence lurking behind her. The growl had faded, but the ominous silence felt heavier than ever. She could feel Eliza's spirit almost tangibly, urging her onward, begging for resolution. Taking a deep breath, Clara stepped out into the cool night air. The ground below was a jagged drop, the full moon illuminating the tangled roots of the old oak tree. She glanced back, her gut twisting as she focused on the shadows now gathered around the trunk, watching and waiting like vultures. They were hungry for the treasure that she somehow now possessed. "Stay focused," she whispered, grounding herself with the thought of Eliza's pain. "This is for you." A rustle in the bushes startled her. Clara stifled a scream, half expecting a hand to reach out and snatch her back into the darkness. Instead, a figure emerged, his face obscured in shadow. "Clara." It was Jacob, her best friend. "What the hell are you doing? Get away from here," she shouted, urgency lacing her voice. "They're coming for me. You need to go." Jacob's eyes widened as he caught the panic in her gaze. "I'm not leaving you." He stepped closer, inspecting the scene with a cautious intensity, his protective instincts kicking in. Clara couldn't hold the fear at bay. "Jacob, please. I found something tied to that ghost. I think it's cursed." "Cursed?" He looked skeptical yet intrigued. "What are you talking about?" "Treasure, buried treasure connected to Eliza and Thomas. But it's not just gold, there's a darkness surrounding it. If they find me, if they find you, who's they?" His voice dropped, a heavy realization dawning on him. "Those shadows, they're not just people, Jacob. They're hunters. And they'll kill to get what they want." The weight of her words hung in the air, thick with dread. Before he could respond, the shadows shifted. Dark figures flickered through the trees, silent and menacing. Clara knew she had to act fast. "We need to split up. You go around back, head for the old barn. I'll try to distract them." "No way. I'm not leaving you." Jacob stepped closer, defiance in his eyes. "Look," Clara's voice cracked with desperation. "If we both stay, we'll never make it. Trust me. You know I can handle myself." The tension thickened as they exchanged glances, both aware of the danger closing in. Finally, with a heavy heart, Jacob nodded. "Okay. But if you don't follow, I'm coming back for you. Just go," she urged, pushing him away gently. "I can't have you hurt because of me." Jacob hesitated before turning to slip away into the night, his figure blending into the trees. A sense of determination ignited within Clara. She had to uncover the truth. She had to find that treasure before those hunters got their hands on it. Taking a deep breath, she focused on the oak tree. The story spoke of the treasure, hidden beneath its roots, a place where love had been tainted by betrayal. What if the clues were here in the whispers of the night? As she crept closer, a creeping dread curled in her stomach. The shadows advanced, and a voice echoed through the air, icy and familiar. "You think you can escape your fate, Clara?" It was Eliza, her spirit swirling around the oak tree, a mix of rage and desperation radiating off her. "The truth lies beneath. You must dig to find it. But beware. Others will come for you." Clara's breath caught. The urgency pummeled her senses like a tidal wave, forcing her to act. She dropped to her knees, fingers trembling against the damp earth. The roots twisted around her, resisting, almost as if they were alive, but she pushed through, her mind set on that buried treasure. How deep did the darkness run? What would she find when she broke the ground? With every dug-up handful of soil, Clara felt the weight of Eliza's history pressing down harder. And yet, behind her, the shadows loomed closer, their growls echoing like sinister drums. What would she discover before the hunters reached her? Would the truth be her salvation or her doom? As the earth gave way beneath her hands, Clara's heart raced. She had to uncover the past, no matter the cost. And fast. Clara's hands clawed at the earth, desperation fueling each dig into the cool, damp soil. The shadows breathed down her neck, their guttural growls like a dark symphony, each note of menace reminding her of the fate that could await her. She had to find it, the treasure, the curse, whatever it was that Eliza wanted her to uncover. With a jolt, her fingers struck something hard. Heart racing, she scraped away the dirt, revealing the edge of a weathered wooden box, old and knotted, as if it had been resting there for centuries. The moonlight glinted across the surface, illuminating mysterious carvings that seemed to pulse with energy. "Eliza, is this it?" Clara whispered, her heart pounding. She glanced over her shoulder, eyes darting to the predatory figures creeping closer. They were almost upon her. The gnawing fear threatened to keep her from fishing out the box, but the need to know the truth was stronger. She grasped the latch and pulled, the wood creaking in protest. The box opened with an agonizing slowness, a funeral dirge to the secrets it contained. Inside, among crumpled parchment and tarnished trinkets, lay a single golden locket. Clara's breath hitched inside. It was a portrait of Eliza and Thomas, their faces alive with joy. But it felt wrong, their smiles hiding more than just happiness. Suddenly, a powerful growl erupted just behind her. Clara spun around, heart in her throat, to see a shadow looming over her. One of the hunters had found her. Adrenaline surged, and she snatched the locket from the box just as the figure lunged. "Move!" she shouted to herself, scrambling up as the hunter's hand swept past her. The smell of damp earth and decay filled her nostrils, blending with the metallic tang of fear. Clara bolted towards the trees, nearly tripping over roots but driven forward by pure instinct. "Where do you think you're going?" The voice hissed, slippery and low, echoing in the darkness. It was familiar. Had she heard it before? Panic clawed at her chest as she ran, the shadows snapping at her heels like wild dogs. Relentless, branches whipped against her skin as she tore through the underbrush, heart hammering a wild cadence in her chest. She had to get back to Jacob. He needed to know what she found. Could be their way out of this nightmare. But where was he? Had he reached the barn safely? Suddenly, Clara skidded to a stop as a sound caught her attention, one that sent icy fingers up her spine. The whispering of a voice so close, barely above a breath. "You cannot escape the shadows, Clara. They will always find you." It was Eliza again, her voice filled with a sorrow that twisted Clara's insides. "You have to choose a life free of their curse or a life filled with their wrath." A flash of movement caught Clara's eye. There was Jacob, darting towards her from behind a clump of trees, eyes wide and shimmering with urgency. "Clara, we need to go," he called, his voice breaking through the haunted whispers. "They're right behind you." "Jacob." She felt the weight of the locket in her hand, its cold surface grounding her in the moment. "They want this. We have to fight back." But before he could respond, the dark figures surged forward, their angry growls merging into a symphony of chaos. Clara felt both exhilaration and terror wash over her as she readied herself. Suddenly, a piercing scream split the air. It was unlike any sound she had ever heard before, haunting, raw, filled with the agony of broken dreams. The shadows hesitated, momentarily thrown off balance, as if struck by an unseen force. "What was that?" Jacob shouted, gripping Clara's arm. "I don't know," she gasped. "But we can't wait. We have to go now." Yet even as she turned to flee, The shadows began to regain their composure, their menacing forms shifting like smoke, inching closer. What if the scream held someone trapped in its echo, someone who knew more about Eliza's fate? What if it unwrapped even darker secrets? With one final glance at the box, the truth hidden within it, Clara took a step back into the chaos, her heart pounding. The world was unraveling, and she had to make a choice. Would she uncover what lay behind the scream, or would the shadows finally engulf her? The answer was slipping away in the night. Just as she was about to take a breath, Clara hesitated, the locket cold and heavy in her palm. The scream echoed again, bouncing off the trees, pulling at something deep within her. A sense of lingering hope flickered in her chest, a call for help. Perhaps she couldn't just leave it behind, not when the shadows loomed so close. "Jacob, we have to check it out," she shouted, desperation tinging her voice. "Are you crazy?" Jacob's eyes widened, disbelief etched on his face. "We'll be trapped. That scream, what if it's one of them? We need to run." But Clara's instinct took over. "No, please, just trust me. Could be the key to everything." Without waiting for a response, she darted toward the source of the sound, pulling Jacob along with her as the shadows twisted restlessly behind them. The underbrush thickened, clawing at their legs like angry fingers as they raced towards an eerie clearing. Here, the moonlight spilled down like silver water, illuminating a small, ancient well at the center. The scream grew closer, more agonized than ever, and Clara's heart raced. "Clara, this is madness," Jacob hissed, his grip tightening on her arm. "We can't let curiosity kill us. I need to know," she insisted, her breath hitching. "What if the answers are down there?" The well stones were dark, slick with years of rain. Clara felt drawn to it, unnerved yet compelled. A shadow flickered at the edge of her vision, but she shook it off, focusing instead on the locket. It felt alive in her hand, pulsing, urging her forward. Maybe it held a key that could unlock the past to Eliza, to Thomas, to whatever curse stitched their fates together. "Clara." Jacob's voice trembled, dread seeping into his tone. "They're coming." The growls grew louder, filling the clearing. It was then that she noticed something glinting within the well, glimpses of silver streaks weaving through the darkness below. They looked like chains linked together, but not to hold something back, to anchor something down. What if there's more than just echoes down there? Clara asked, her hands trembling. Before Jacob could answer, a loud crash erupted behind them, a shadow lunging, arms outstretched toward them. They spun around, fear flooding Clara's system. "Run!" she shouted, yanking on Jacob's arm. They stumbled back toward the well, hearts racing as the figure surged closer, darkness swirling beneath it. Clara turned her gaze back down the well, a thought brewing in her mind. "Maybe if we can reach it," she murmured, realigning the pieces of her plan. "The locket, the scream, it all connects somehow." "Are you insane?" Jacob urged, eyes wild. "We can't just jump into an unknown darkness. I can't let it end here." She looked up, now feeling the weight of fate pressing down on them. If the scream was a plea for help, who was she to ignore it? The growl echoed around them, sending shivers down her spine. "Here, take this." Clara thrust the locket towards Jacob. "If anything happens, keep it safe. I need to know what's down there." Before he could protest, Clara stepped to the edge of the well, the shadows swirling, shadows she knew felt so incredibly alive. "Clara!" Jacob grabbed her, panic flooding his voice. But suddenly, the scream washed over them, once more lost, forlorn, spinning through the crisp air like a whirlwind. It clawed at her mind, igniting a determination she couldn't shake. With a surge of courage, Clara leapt into the well, the world above collapsing into silent darkness. As she fell, she grasped at the air, not knowing what awaited her at the bottom. Shouts from Jacob echoed above, the last warmth of light fading fast. A blinding flash pierced the darkness right before she hit the bottom. For a moment, time froze. Then she landed in a pool of icy water, the essence of fear and uncertainty washing over her, but also clarity. She was not alone. Someone was waiting in the shadows beneath the surface. "Welcome home, Clara," a voice echoed ominously, wrapping around her. It was soft yet heavy, filling the silence with a knowing that sent chills coursing through her. Jacob's frantic voice punctured her thoughts. But the water was still, absorbing his screams into echoes that whispered against her ears. What had she unleashed? What darkness lay hidden deep in the shadows, waiting for her to discover? As she swam deeper, she felt the heaviness of the secrets press in all around her, thick and oppressive. The answers were close, but would they lead her to salvation or doom? Clara fought through the water, determined. Yet every inch further pulled her into unseen depths. What awaited her beneath the surface? Secrets long buried, or horrors she could never imagine? Clara kicked against the water, her heartbeat echoing in her ears, a frantic rhythm trying to drown out the voice lingering in that cold darkness. "Welcome home, Clara," it whispered again, sending a jolt of ice through her veins. Panic flashed as she turned, seeking something, anything grasping in the dark. Her fingers brushed against something smooth and cold, a chain glinting in the faintest light filtering from above. It felt like it pulsed, almost alive, and she couldn't resist wrapping her hand around it. "Jacob!" she screamed. Her voice spluttered and muffled under the surface. There was no response, just the gurgling ripples of water swirling around her. Deep breaths were hard to come by, the weight of the water pushing her down, urging her to surrender. But she couldn't let it end like this. She kicked harder, propelling herself toward an opening below, the chain slithering under her grasp. The darkness throbbed around her like a heartbeat of its own. Instinct drove her. She needed to find light, answers, a way out. As she dove deeper, the murkiness thickened, blurring her vision and filling her lungs with dread. Shadows danced just out of sight, flickering like ghosts, taunting her with the hint of movement. Each stroke felt like a battle, the weight against her growing heavier with every second. The voice returned, coiling around her. "You were meant to come here, Clara. You don't belong up there," pulled at her mind like a siren's song, almost seductive. She shook her head vigorously, fighting the sensation, but the darkness pressed in tighter, sharper. Ahead, a glimmer caught her eye, a faint glow igniting a flickering path that led into a cavern. She pushed forward, the light growing brighter, washing over her in a warm embrace, washing away the fears that clawed at her insides. Emerging from the depths, Clara broke the surface, gasping for air, her lungs burning. She could barely tilt her head toward the cavern without collapsing into the water. "Where am I?" she breathed, scanning the walls, slick with moisture and whispering secrets. The cavern was filled with reflections, twisting images dancing across the rocks, as if somehow alive. Then she saw it etched into the stone, symbols carved with care, depicting faces she recognized: Eliza, Thomas, their features stricken with agony. "Clara!" Jacob's voice echoed in the distance, a tether to the world she had just escaped. "Are you okay?" Glimmers of hope and terror flooded her. "I'm here," she called, but the voice she had heard felt like chains pulling her farther into the heart of the cavern. There was a choice to be made: stay in the depths or return to the world above, to Jacob, to safety. Just then, the shadows shifted beside her, coalescing into a form. The darkness became palpable, wrapping around the light, and in its core, she saw a face, a swirling visage, half-formed, a blend of human and specter. "Seek the truth," it murmured, voice echoing like the scream they'd heard before, only softer now, almost sorrowful. "Your destiny intertwines with the chaos below." "What truth?" Clara shouted, flinging back her hair, feeling desperation claw up her throat. "What do you want from me?" The specter reached out a hand, fingers trailing through the water, beckoning her forward. "Only the key can unlock the curses. You must choose." The air felt charged, thick with expectation, and Clara's heart lurched. The echoes of others' pain filled her head. She was standing at the brink, teetering between salvation and the complete unknown. "Clara!" Jacob screamed again, drawing nearer now. His cries echoed through the cavern, pulling at her like a lifeline. But as she looked to the side, the translucent figure mirrored her gaze, urging her closer, the darkness growing restless. With a final glance back at the surface and the promise of the familiar, she felt the reality of the moment slam into her gut. Could she leave this behind? Could she walk back to the ordinary? Or was she destined to dive deeper into the shadows? What lay ahead was uncertain, a twisted path veiled in darkness, but her heart screamed for the truth. She took a deep breath, bracing herself against the oncoming tide. The decision was before her. Would she follow the voice of the specters or the call of Jacob? And deep within the cavern, the pull of her destiny slipped away, leaving Clara torn between two worlds. Which would she choose? Clara's heart pounded as the specterous voice echoed like a distant drum, urging her to make a choice. She turned to the shimmering light, straining to hear Jacob's voice, the warmth of his presence a lifeline in the cold, damp cavern. Was her destiny intertwined with the darkness, or was the truth above, with him? Clara! Jacob's voice carried across the water, pulling her back from the edge. The chaos behind her roared like a tempest, the shadows whispering secrets that threatened to engulf her. Don't leave me! The specter stretched its hand toward her again, a gossamer promise of answers hidden within the darkness. But Clara needed to know what that truth meant. What is the key? She shouted, desperation weaving through her words like threads in a fraying tapestry. The spectral figure dimmed slightly, the glow illuminating a small stone pedestal at the far end of the cavern. The locket, it commanded softly, will unlock the past. Clara suddenly realized the locket she had handed to Jacob. It connected her to Eliza, to the ghosts of betrayal that haunted the Tanner legacy. I have to go back, she yelled, spinning on her heel, desperation igniting her movements. But as Clara surged toward the surface, her legs tangled in the chains she had grasped moments ago. They wrapped around her ankles, pulling her down, the water grabbing hold of her with terrifying strength. No, she gasped, struggling against their hold. The chains glimmered, and their grip tightened painfully, a visceral reminder of those who had been trapped beneath for so long. Clara! Jacob's voice was frantic now, slicing through the murky water, urging her to break free. She kicked hard, dislodging one chain, then another, adrenaline blazing through her veins. I'm coming, she shouted, fear and resolve merging. With one final thrust, Clara broke through the surface, gasping for air, her vision blurred by droplets cascading off her hair. Clara! Jacob was there, eyes wide with concern, reaching out to pull her from the water. She felt his strong grip as he lifted her from the depths, the shadows skirting the edges of the clearing, still hungry, still searching. The moment she caught her breath, Clara cried out, "The locket! You need to wear it!" She thrust her hand toward him, heart racing as he fumbled with its cool surface. It's connected to everything, the truth. Just as the chain rested around Jacob's neck, a dark form surged from the woods. The shadows pressed closer, spectral figures swirling with wicked intent. The fury in their growls mixed with the chilling laughter from behind them. The hunters were here. Run! Clara screamed, pulling Jacob toward the old oak tree where they could hide. The past was unraveling, and she needed to reveal the secrets once more before it consumed them both. The whispers intensified, the shadows writhing as they followed, hunger in every movement. Stay close, Clara urged, pressing forward. We can draw them to the well. The moment they reached the oak, she pointed toward the well's mouth. It's our only chance. Jacob nodded, determination etched across his features. Together, then, they sprinted to the well, shadows clawing at their heels. Clara felt the icy fingers graze her back, but she couldn't let fear hold her. Fight! She cried, and without thinking, she tossed the locket into the well. The light erupted and surged upward, illuminating everything in dazzling gold. The echoes of the spirits crescendoed until Clara felt the very ground tremble beneath her. Those who once sought money with avarice shall now be bound to their sins. Eliza's voice rang out, powerful and piercing through the murky past they were racing against. The shadows halted, darkness ripping apart as the light swelled, illuminating Clara and Jacob in a halo of hope. Clara felt the rush of ancient spirits darting free, unchained by the truth. With the ghostly cries vociferating around them, the shadows erupted in rage, flailing against the power that threatened their existence. You've unleashed the truth. Return what was taken. The locket, aglow with the warmth of Eliza's love, thudded against the stones at the bottom of the well, a fragment of the past that had finally found a home. Clara. Jacob pulled her from the edge, their feet finding solid ground as the light retreated into the depths, pulling the shadows with it. The air felt lighter, free of the weight that had imprisoned those souls for too long. A silence fell over the clearing. Both Clara and Jacob stood together, gasping for breath, shadows fading from their vision, vanquished by the very secrets they had unearthed. The curse that tormented the Tanner house had broken, allowing the memories of Eliza and Thomas to breathe once more. We did it, Clara whispered, heart racing, entwined with both fear and exhilaration. Jacob smiled, his eyes bright with wonder. Yeah, we did. But what about the treasure? Maybe the treasure was never meant to be gold, Clara replied, gazing at the stars blinking into view above them. Maybe it was the truth. They shared a moment of silence, the woods now a safe haven as they stood together, forever changed as dawn approached. Clara felt the warmth on her skin, reaffirming their victory over darkness. They could finally leave the ghosts where they belonged. Clara turned to Jacob, determination and quiet resolve steadying her heart. Let us go home. A soft breeze danced around them, carrying with it the remnants of Eliza's whispers. A final farewell echoed in the morning light. Now, cast away the darkness, and go live your lives. And before you go, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss any more stories like this. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Every single action makes a difference. So let us keep this community growing strong.